All right, go Claire B., Andy Shane, Kenny Bruce. Go ahead.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius NASCAR Radio. A lot of guys can't get over the frustration of Darlington. When you first came here, do you remember not being frustrated with this place, or you kind of adapted to it right away? And can you talk a little bit about overcoming that frustration?
Oh no! I mean, I won a race here one time and was pretty frustrated. I was leading the race. I mean, if you go back to that battle, that great battle of me and Jeff Burton, when we won the Winston Million, I had position on him. He seemed to be maybe a little bit quicker, and so I was just trying not to make any mistakes, and I got in the wall off of 2, and then that's what really allowed him to get underneath me. Is I damaged the car, and so that hundredth or tenth of a second that I was trying to prevent turned into like a half a second, and we almost lost the race that day. So that was pretty frustrating, to me, and those moments happen all the time, here, especially when the pavement was very, very abrasive. It was very easy to get frustrated because you're trying to make your car go as fast as you can, trying to watch your mirror, you're trying to figure out the lap times, manage the tires, and stay out of the wall, and all those things were pretty hard to do.
Go Andy Shane, Kenny Bruce, and then Jenna. Go ahead.
Jeff, Andy Shane from the State Newspaper. We were about a third of the way through the 26th race season before the chase. You have one win, but outside the top 10. With the new point system, do you think at this point, how hard is it? Is it more difficult to get into the top 10 than, say, with the old point system with the remaining races? And also, what kind of importance does that put in winning races the rest of the season?
Well, I mean, I feel like if we do what we're capable of doing, like last week, I felt like we had a top 5 car, if not better. We didn't finish there. If we finish where we're capable of, then I don't think we'll have any problem making it into the top 10. But I will say the nice, comforting thing right now is that we do have a win, and if we can get 1 or 2 more wins, I think that could possibly secure us into the chase. That's something that didn't exist before, and when you're in the points position and you've had the kind of year that we've had, that's comforting to have something to fall back on, because one thing we've seen about the chase format is it's all about having momentum from the summer on. It doesn't matter really what you've done up to that point. As long as, of course, under the old format, you had to have some consistency to be in there. But to me, with this new format, with the way the win structure is that can get you in, to me, it's come August, maybe end of July. Whoever's strong from that point to the rest of the season, to me, they're the ones to beat for the championship. And I think a lot can change by then. So we're certainly getting geared up for that. We're doing everything we can to, and that's what happens. The season starts. You evaluate where you focused over the off season, and like I mentioned earlier, our short track program seems to be really strong. But our intermediate stuff has not been, and so now we have to shift some things that we've been doing and try some new things, and this format gives us that opportunity to still be in the thick of the championship, by the end of the year, because of that, and try new things and do things different and not be completely out of it.
Take 3 more questions. Kenny, Jenna, and then Jeff.
Kenny Bruce, SceneDaily.com. Jeff, you mentioned earlier talking with your team about maybe some improvements inside of the car in the wake of the wreck. Are there things that specifically you guys could do, or do you think that maybe there's anything that NASCAR could do to the inside of the cars for the competitors?
Yeah, no, this was more of I thought the car did a great job. The door bars moved in several inches, and the window nets still stayed intact. It's the structure of the car held up incredibly well. It's really more driver component things that we have. For instance, we do we call it a knee knocker, but it's basically a padded piece that we put on the steering column in between our knees. And most of it's just because you're turning left all the time. You just want to have something for your left knee to support, and to sit on, but it also can be a safety feature. And just the way that piece rotated in the impact, we want to change how we mount it. My foot hit the clutch pedal really hard, and how we're going to box out and curve the edges on that. And then just looking at the padding on the left side on my headrest and the gap. I like a lot of gap there because I lean a lot with my head, so I don't like to be touching anything. But in an impact like that, you don't want a gap. You want to make sure that when your head hits, it doesn't move. And so I think there's a little bit that we can do, probably just adding some. I think I had a little bit too much of a gap for a left side hit.
We'll go Jenna and finish up with Jeff. Go ahead.
Jenna Fryer, AP. Jeff, there was a lot of, I know this issue came up at Phoenix with tempers and aggression, a real early point in the season, and now we're in this short track part of the season where it's hot. Last week at Richmond, a lot of drivers had meltdowns with their crew. There was the incident between the 42 and the 39. Are we at the part of the year where we're going to see that? And why? Are drivers feeling more pressure? Are they more desperate? Are the stakes too high? And should we expect this again on Saturday night?
Don't you only hope? I'm pretty sure everyone in this room only hopes. I don't know what triggers it. Just seems like, some years the moon is just right. I don't know. There's no doubt there's a tremendous amount of pressure. And I think you just have to look at everybody's success level, where they're at. There's some that might be a little more comfortable with things, and some that aren't real happy with things. Maybe they're in a contract year. Maybe there's sponsorship contracts that are up. Or maybe they've been with a team and they felt like they should have had more success at this point and haven't. And so when that opportunity comes up, and something gets in the way of that being a successful run, it's easy to get frustrated because of all that's built up to it. But in my opinion, this is a very high stress level sport and intense competition, and I think the competition's only gotten tougher. So it goes back to talking about the point system. Because the competition's tougher, and we see how close the cars are and how hard it is to make big gains, then that means it's even harder to make up positions in the points as you get further in the season. Not to mention the new point system might add a little bit to it. So that to me are all the ingredients of heightening the stress and frustration levels.
You may be having a good day. Are you ever aware of...
I'm having a pretty good day. I mean,
during a race, when all this stuff doesn't involve you, are you ever aware of incidents that are happening or drivers that you sense or may know are about to maybe explode? Or
I knew last week to stay on the inside of the 22 car. He was like, I'm doing Joey Chitwood impersonations all race long, and I was pretty sure that right rear tire wasn't going to last a whole lot longer, so I knew not to go to the outside of him. Plus, there was only an inch between him and the wall all the way around the track, so I couldn't go to the outside. Other than that, I was aware.
At various times, can you generally tell when a driver is maybe about to...
On tilt?
Yeah.
Usually my spotter will tell me, hey, I don't know what's going on, but this guy seems to be making it hard on everybody as they come through there. Or this car is going backwards and not real happy about it. So sometimes you can see it and tell, and other times you can't. Most of the time, if there's two guys involved with it, you see them racing really hard and bumping and banging. And if you're inside of it, then you're obviously aware of it and you want to get away from it or by it as fast as possible.
Final question. Go ahead, Jeff.
Jeff Gluck from SB Nation over here. Hi.
Hey, Jeff.
In 04, you were taken out by a field filler at the time when field fillers were all the controversy and everything. Now the modern day...
04, man. Refresh my memory. That was a long time ago.
Hillenberg came down, I think, and you crashed really, really hard.
Yeah.
the wall. Anyway, so the modern day version of that is start and parkers. Which is worse as a driver? I mean, start and parkers are slow, but they get off the track, but they take the money, and field fillers are slow and they stay the whole race. And you
I like the start and parks.
better.
Well, I just think, if you're that far off the pace, then I think that especially in a place like Darlington, and this is why I like the minimum speed rule. The minimum speed rule forces these teams to have to run a certain pace, and I don't know. Sometimes I feel like that minimum speed needs to be raised at certain tracks, but that usually helps. When you're on a narrow racetrack like this, especially, it's lap traffic is really, really tough. So, in my opinion, instead of having somebody out there trying to make minimum speed, I'd rather them, if they're going to finish, in the low 30s and points aren't a big thing to them, and they have their own business model and plan that they're working on, then I'd rather not have to pass them.
Jeff, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Appreciate you coming in, and good luck at Darlington.
Yeah, and thanks again to ISC and that commitment to Drive to End Hunger. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeff. Next up will be A.J. Allmendinger. Yes.